Your martial art sucks, and the worst part is you actually think it works in a real combat situation. Today, I'm going to teach you why it doesn't and what you can do to fix it. Welcome to Warrior Walk. Now, I've seen it all. Black belts frozen in fear, MMA fighters getting dropped in seconds because they trained for the ring in the dojo. Not reality. Real violence doesn't wait for a ref, and it doesn't follow rules, and it doesn't care how cool you look. It's unpredictable, brutal, and unforgiving. And if your martial art doesn't reflect that, you're just rehearsing for a fight that's never gonna happen. Now, there are dozens of flaws I can expose, but for now, I'm gonna focus on just a few of the worst, because these alone are enough to get you knocked out or worse. Now, the first flaw is pre-contact self-defense. This is where the vast majority, if not all, martial arts are grossly lacking. They do not take into account what happens before the fists fly. Now, there are so many aspects to this, I don't even know where to begin. Okay, let's talk about stances. They don't have stances. They don't have pre-contact stances like a de-escalation stance, a first strike stance, a natural stance. These stances are critical during the go, no-go moments of a self-defense situation. Let me tell you, the fighting stance is just the most overrated stance in self-defense and martial arts. It is one small component of the real fight. There are many stances that you have to learn how to use in a self-defense situation. Pre-contact stances, stances that don't telegraph or notify your assailant of what you're about to do. Here's an important question to ask yourself. How many different tactical stances do you have in your arsenal? Besides a fighting stance, what else do you have? Think about it. Do you have a de-escalation stance? Do you have a first strike stance? Do you have a natural stance? Do you have a knife defense stance? Do you have a bludgeon defense stance? Do you have a knife fighting stance? I could go on and on. I think you get the point. You need tactical stances, and these stances are all part of the pre-contact scenarios. And for you guys who want to learn about these tactical stances, I cover it in great detail in my book, Stand and Deliver. I'll put a link in the description down below if you want to check it out. Another part of the pre-contact stage of self-defense is assessment skills. How on earth are you going to assess a self-defense situation if you have no training whatsoever? Think about it for a second. If no one's trained you how to make a tactical assessment of a self-defense situation, how on earth do you think you're going to be able to pull it off? You're not. There are dozens of things to assess in a self-defense situation before you start fighting. How far he is from you, ranges of combat, weapon capability, witness intervention, use of force requirement. I mean, guys, it goes on and on. It's no wonder I've written so many books about this subject. But of course, people go along, they continue studying martial arts, and they think when the real shit hits, they're going to be able to handle it. They're not. And of course, during the pre-contact stage, there's the go, no-go moment of fighting. And that's something where you have to train a lot to be prepared for, because it requires split-second decision-making. But if you're not training for it, you're not going to be prepared for it. And if you're not prepared for it, you're going to lose. Another part of the pre-contact stage is fear management and adrenaline dump control. People don't talk about this. They assume that they're just going to wing it when the fight occurs. And let me tell you something, it doesn't happen like that. You need to experience lots of adrenaline surge scenarios. You have to experience lots of scenarios that require the go, no go decision process. But people aren't doing this. They think it's just going to happen naturally, and it's not going to happen naturally. Or it will happen naturally in a way that you get your ass beat. And these are things that I cover in my books, such as When Seconds Count. I cover in 1001 Street Fighting Secrets in great depth. So if you guys want to explore this, I strongly encourage you to click on the links and look into it, because these are the things that you can integrate into your martial arts system that you're studying. You don't have to study my contemporary fighting arts system, but you can extract elements and put it into your system so you stand a better chance of surviving in a real combat situation. Another component of the pre-contact stages of self-defense that are missing in martial arts is the first strike concept. Now, I'm not talking about sucker punching some idiot. I'm talking about the science and art of launching a preemptive strike that puts you in the bargaining position. Of course, I've written books about it, instructional videos I've produced, but again, this must be integrated into your current martial art or you're going to be at a clear disadvantage in a real combat situation. Next, we have zero environmental exposure. And what that means is you guys who study in the martial arts or MMA or sport combat, you guys live in a fantasy land, okay? Where you have padded floors, air conditioning, proper lighting. Everything is designed to be comfortable so you could perform your technique, but it has zero real world applications. Let me ask you guys a question. When was the last time you ground fought on concrete? Or when was the last time you practiced knife fighting in the mud? Or did simulated street fighting in the pouring rain? Have you guys ever thrown a punch when it's freezing outside? Try it a couple times. You'll see it has a whole different sensation when you actually connect with somebody. These are just one of the many examples of things that you are not prepared for. You need to integrate this into your current training regimen. Okay, those scenarios are what we do in contemporary fighting arts. That's how I train my people, and that's how you should train if you're serious. Now, let me ask you a question. Why do you think law enforcement and military, when they train, they actually train in those types of environments? Look into it, okay? You'll see they train for the real deal because they can't afford to lose. Because if they lose, they die. And that's the same way that you have to approach your training. Train for reality. Another flaw with 99% of the martial arts out there is they don't prepare for multiple attacker training. It's always a one-on-one scenario they train for. They don't deal with mob attacks. They don't deal with the critical tactical strategies that you have to implement if you're going to survive a street situation. Again, the street is not fair. You're very likely going to face more than one attacker at once, and you better be prepared and know how to deal with that. And when dealing with multiple attacker scenarios, there are a variety of critical tactics that you have to employ. For example, do you know how to decipher between the alpha and the subordinate in a group? Do you know how to stack them properly to maximize your chances of surviving the situation? Do you know the ideal targets to strike? Do you know the techniques to use? These are critical things that you must study if you're going to survive a mass attack. One of the added benefits to multiple attacker training that some instructors don't even know about is that it makes you exponentially better in a one-on-one confrontation. Think about it for a second. When you're dealing with something, many of you guys don't know what it's like, but when you're dealing with multiple attacker training, there is so much going on at once that when you face a situation where you only have to focus on that one individual, it is exponentially easier to deal with, not just mentally, but physically. So there's added benefit to that as well. Speaking of which, today I'm releasing my full feature video called Rat Packed: How to Defeat Multiple Attackers for my War Machine Elite members. This is for free. You can watch at your leisure. Or if you guys want to go to my website at sammyfranco.com, you can purchase it. I think it's about $30. But for the War Machine Elite members, it's for free, and it's been uploaded today for you guys. Now this video is going to teach you exactly how to deal with a multiple attacker situation, logically, soundly, so you get home alive and in one piece. Another flaw in martial arts is there is no size or weight contingency. And by that I mean, as you guys know, in MMA and sport competition, there are weight divisions, and there's a reason why, because size and weight matters in combat. Now, a lot of you people, you don't want to hear that. You want to think that you're invincible. You want to hear that you could vanquish a guy who's 200 pounds heavier than you. And in some cases that can happen if you're properly trained for it. But the vast majority of situations, if someone is larger and stronger than you, regardless of your martial arts training, you're going to get your ass whooped. You have to train specifically for that type of adversary. And in my book, The Bigger They Are, the Harder They Fall, I went into great depth about the training that you require and also the arsenal, the striking techniques that are specifically designed for that kind of adversary. Because the way you fight a larger adversary is completely different than you fight somebody who's smaller or equal to your size. Now, I know a lot of you guys are going to be very upset to hear that, but the truth is, technique is not going to always save you. You have to have a very specific blueprint to deal with a larger and stronger adversary. In my book, again, The Bigger They Are, the Harder They Fall, look at the guy I'm fighting. He is huge. And the techniques that I teach are designed to dismantle someone of that size. And again, you need to integrate this into your current martial arts system if you're going to be formidable in the streets. Another important point when dealing with a larger and stronger adversary is the psychological component, the fear factor that usually follows. If you're not highly trained or specifically trained to deal with a larger and stronger adversary in the street, let me tell you something right now, you're going to be in a tremendous amount of shock. It's very important that this type of training becomes a regular part of your program because I'm telling you, there are no weight divisions or height classes in the street. Guys, the purpose of this video is not to malign or disparage your martial art, okay? The fact that you study martial arts, I have a lot of respect for you. What this is a wake-up call. You need to understand that the street is a completely different animal and you've got to be prepared for it. And these flaws that I'm pointing out, these are just the tip of the iceberg. There is so much more out there. But again, we have very limited attention spans out there and I can't make this video go into 20, 30, 40 minutes, which I'd like to, but it's just going to waste bandwidth. So anyway, the point is try to integrate these concepts and principles into your current martial art and your odds of surviving will increase exponentially. Most people don't want to hear this. They'd rather protect their ego than protect their life. But if anything I said today makes you second guess your training, good. That means you're not beyond saving. Fix the flaws, rebuild your system, or suffer the consequences. Walk in peace, but be prepared for war.